Good morning, Rebecca and Cameron. Welcome to day 2 of our virtual conservatory. In this morning's technique class, we will briefly discuss the mechanisms of our voice, and we'll go over a set of vocal warm-ups that you guys can take with you for the rest of your life wherever you go. Please keep in mind that it's so important to warm up your voice whenever you're going to be using it for more than 5 minutes or so. Make sure you do like in an excessive way, not like normal everyday talking. Make sure you do some vocal warm-up. So we'll start there, and then we'll just merge right into some character work. We'll get advice on building a character. Remember to complete your technique review, and then I will see you guys tonight where we'll dive straight into this script and some character work. All right, have a great day at Conservatory. So we will start today just kind of discussing how the voice works. How do we make sound? How does phonation occur? I love asking this question to my students because they always just kind of look at me like, I don't know, you tell me. And it starts with a big word that we all love, whether we're talking about theater or dance or even music, even those who are instrumentalists. This word, energy, right? Energy in the form of air. That is how we make sound. That is how great phonation occurs, right? Energy in the form of air. It comes from the lungs, passes into our trachea, and finally into the larynx where our vocal folds live, right? The larynx is really the principal structure for producing vibrating airstream and the vocal folds. So our vocal folds are, everybody look at your thumbnails. And if you're like me, I know this time a lot of us haven't been getting our nails done, but that's fine. You don't have to show me then, you can just look at mine, but take a look at your thumbnails. This is how big your vocal folds are. They are these little muscles about the size of your thumbnail, right? And they are pressed together like this. So you have 2 vocal folds or vocal cords like this, except they're really small. And when the air or the energy, when the energy in the form of air comes up from the lungs into the trachea, into the larynx where the vocal folds live, the air causes the vocal folds to vibrate. Now, this might be a little strange for some of you guys, but I encourage you to do it because, like I talked about at the beginning, the more we understand, the better we produce, right? So your vocal folds, they can either be apart, which no air is coming through. So you tell me, if your vocal folds are apart, are you talking or are you silent? That's right, you're silent. So they're either together or apart. And now we're gonna kind of enjoy this short video so you can see that with your own 2 eyes.
I particularly like this video because you can see that my vocal folds are sitting on top of my airway, and you can see my tracheal rings. And the first thing you see me doing is closing my vocal folds to make sound. And when the vocal folds close and air goes through them, you can see that they vibrate. I will run out of air and you can see that I open them up again. And then I go to make a sound at a slightly lower pitch, and then you can see my vocal folds are slightly shorter because the pitch is lower. You can appreciate that the vocal folds have a nice floppy skin on them as they vibrate. That helps with good sound. And as I go up in pitch, you can see that my vocal folds are stretching out. One of the things that is notable about my vocal folds is that I have a little bit of acid reflux, so you can see that the space between my vocal folds in the back of the picture it's a little red and puffy, and that's an indication that I have a little bit of reflux, although it doesn't seem to affect the way I sound too much.
You would describe this as being 100% normal as far as vocal folds are considered?
They do seem to be normal. The way I use my vocal folds is a little different. I have a little gap in the back, and you can appreciate that because my voice is slightly breathy, but that's a cultural norm for American females. Other than that, they're pretty normal. They're white and pearly, and they don't have any lumps or bumps on the edges of them that would impair the skin on the vocal folds from vibrating the way they are.
Great. So now you guys have seen how the vocal folds are apart or together, how they work. Remember, when they are apart, we're silent. When they're together, that energy in the form of air is coming through and we are producing sound. Now, whenever I'm in situations where I know I'm going to be talking a lot, I drink a lot of water, and we'll get into why drinking a lot of water is so important. I drink a lot of water and I increase my vocal warm-ups in the morning a ton. So that means every summer when I'm at camp, because I'm not so much sitting in the office, which is probably 70% of what I do when I get to be quiet for the most part of the day and kind of have my vocal folds apart and give my voice a rest, then anytime I'm in that situation, I'm increasing the warm-up. So it's like going to the gym, right? The warm-ups are like going to the gym for our tiny, tiny little vocal folds, and I'm increasing my water intake because that's what it takes. And you can kind of hear right now, I think I played with vocal fry too much because now my voice is kind of going there. So let's talk about some vocal health tips.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Ah, the vocal warm-up. Most people think that vocal power and strength is only important for singers, but this couldn't be more wrong. If you've ever spoken up in a meeting, given a presentation, or speech, then you need a basic vocal warm-up. In this video, we're going to go through all of my vocal warm-ups that I do for you. It'll be highly embarrassing for me and hopefully super helpful for you. I do a vocal warm-up before every presentation, meeting, or speech where I am speaking for more than a few minutes to a large group. I want to teach you what you can do as well. Step number 1, loosen up and shush. The first thing you want to do is loosen up. Wiggle your shoulders, relax your neck, release your jaw. Take some deep breaths. This helps you shake out those nerves and creates more space in your body. This is really important to make sure you don't sound anxious or tight. Now take some deep belly breaths. Now, the trick here is to not breathe with your shoulders. So try to keep them down as you breathe. Good vocal breathing is in the belly. So instead of this, where my shoulders go up, I want you to do this, where my belly goes out and my shoulders stay down. The movement should be all in your belly. Put your hands on your belly and push your stomach into your hand, like a balloon filling up with air. Now try pushing the air out from your stomach all the way through the front of your mouth. Pretend you're a librarian shushing ornery students. Ready? Breathe in and shh. Remember, keep those shoulders down. Deep breath and shh. Now try to pump the shush. So shh, 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 shh. This is going to get your diaphragm and lungs ready for pushing out lots of air as you speak. Take in a deep breath and shh, 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 shh. Do that once or twice. The entire step number 1 should take no more than a minute of shaking loose and deep shush breathing. Step number 2, tongue trills. Oh, this is a fun one. We are warming up your tongue, which is very helpful to have nice and loose while you speak. This is also a fast one. A tongue trill is this. Try it with me. Once you've done a few of these, now try doing some descending and ascending ones. So descending, ascending. Do these about 5 times each. Step number 3, hum it up. Humming is the next best way to warm up your vocal cords and mouth. The vibrations in humming are what's really important here. If you're speaking early in the morning, humming is going to be the most important for you. Start with the basics. Hold it for as long as you can. Try loosening up your lips and mouth as you do it so you're not pressing your lips together. So, keep your jaw and cheeks nice and loose too. Now go up and down with your Do this about 5 times each. Step number 4, chant. Did seeing the word chant make you nervous? Yeah, this one is a little odd, but it's probably the most important step. We're going to say 4 words over and over again. They are meme, mime, mome, moom. These words go naturally right after you're humming because they all start with M. So start from step number 3, humming, and then slowly open your mouth to say these words, like this. Meme, mime, mome, moom. Meme, mime, mome, moom. Try it with me after a deep belly breath. Meme, mime, mome, moom. Now go up and down with them. Me, my, mo, moom. Me, my, mo, moom. Do this for as long as it takes to get really comfortable resonance. You know you're warm when the sound is long and clear. When you first start, these might be a little raspy or rough. By the end, they should be nice and smooth. Me, my, mo, moom. Step number 5, pronounce. The last step is to get your mouth ready to enunciate your words and sound clear. We are going to add a P and a T sound to our M sounds. So, ma, pa, ta, ma, pa, ta. Try this with me. Ma, pa, ta, ma, pa, ta. Really enunciate those sounds and open your mouth nice and wide. Ma, pa, ta, ma, pa, ta. Do this 5 to 10 times and then you are done. Altogether, this shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. You can do a quick version if you're hiding out in a bathroom before a meeting, or a long version if you're driving somewhere. Here's the short version of my warm-up as a review. Do this with me now. The short vocal warm-up. 1. Loosen up and shush. Shake it out. Deep belly breath and shh. Number 2, tongue trills. Descending and ascending. Number 3, hum it up. Hum, hum. Now up and down. Hum, hum. Number 4, chant. Me, my, mo, moom. Me, my, mo, moom. Now try up and down. Me, my, mo, moom. Me, my, mo, moom. Number 5, pronounce. Ma, pa, ta. Ma, pa, ta. Ascending, descending. Ma, pa, ta. Ma, pa, ta. And that's it. We're vocally warm.
So the first thing that we're going to be talking about throughout this video is going to be your character's wants. Because your character's wants defines how you will act in developing your character. The reason your want is important is because it gives us an idea, a vision of what this character is, who this character is like. For example, if your character wants world domination, that's completely different from a character who wants world peace. It's also different from a character who wants to get a raise at their job at McDonald's, and it's also different from someone who wants to get a managerial position at some company. Our characters' wants will define our characters and who we are as people. One of the big misconceptions, though, in the idea of the want is this little thing that people screw up. And there's 3 ideas to the wants for your characters. What does your character want right now? What does your character want for the future? And the future could be 1 to 10 years or even more. And what is your character's aspirations? What is their life goal? What do they want? These are 3 different wants. When you're trying to play a character and you're getting into character and you're developing your character, which one is the most important for you? It all depends. Sometimes I will have characters where I will only need to know what my character wants right now. I'll be doing scenes and I only need to know what my character wants in this scene. I don't need to know what they want throughout the whole movie because it gets distracting and it's not what I need. In that moment, I only need to know what the character wants. Sometimes though, I'll play another character and I'll need to know. I'll say, okay, it's kind of tricky, I'm trying to work out the scene. What does my character want right now? But also, what does he want in the next 2 years? What's his goal? What's his plan? If you think about this in terms of the movie, what does your character want right now within this specific scene of the movie? But then what do they want throughout the entire movie? What do they want in the end? So these are 3 different things to think about. Again, Some projects, I might need all 3 of them. Other projects, I might just need 1. You don't have to get super specific, you just have to know what works for you at the time. It's not going to be the same. Not every movie that I do, I need to know what I need exactly right now. These are really important things to think about when it comes to developing your character and getting into character. You have to know what does your character want, and it comes down to these 3 points. Usually the big misconception is when people think, okay, what does my character want? They usually get into the trap of one of the 2 things, either thinking, what does my character want right now, specifically right now, or what do they want at the end of the movie? It depends on the scene. Some scenes, you only have to focus on what your character wants right now. It doesn't matter what they want at the end of the movie. You can use these in different combinations. Sometimes you may just need 1 of them. Sometimes it will be 2 of them. Maybe it will be all of them. It depends on the project. It depends on you as an actor, but use what works for you. You guys have probably had this before happen to you, where you guys have had your characters and you're working on them, you're in your room or you're at home, and what you were doing in your room doesn't equate at all to what you bring now to these different situations. In your room, it was great. Now you're going into these situations and all of a sudden the character that you had isn't coming forward. Why is that? The reason for it is the way that you guys are working, the way you're practicing. A lot of actors sometimes build bad habits over the years. Sometimes these habits are considered and then they're changed, but sometimes they also aren't. So again, if you can tackle this early, the better. Now, the problem that actors have is the way that they're practicing the characters is they're practicing it the same all the time, and they kind of practice it in a lazy way. From the actors I've been able to work with, I've been able to see how they actually work and the process that they go through. Because if you can see what the actor is actually doing at home, then you can start to realize, okay, this is the area of issue or the problem that you're having with the way you're working. Your acting may be great, but the way you're practicing isn't beneficial for you. So here's the thing. Actors all the time will sit down a lot. They sit down because they have to memorize their lines. Sometimes they move, sometimes they don't. That part doesn't really matter. It's kind of up to you how it works best for you in the memorization process. After you get that though, and now you're starting to work on your character, actors will continue to be in that state when they're sitting down. And they're sitting down and they're going through and they're going, okay, this is who I think my character is. And then they start to run the scene a little bit in their head, or maybe they speak it out loud, or maybe they're doing the scene with somebody. And they're sitting down. This is one of the big problems that actors have. Again, not all actors have this, but this is an issue that some actors have. And if this is you, this is something that you really want to change. Because you get used to this idea of working, it's kind of a lazy way of working. If you're working in this way, once you try to bring it into an audition, or you go on to set, or you're rehearsing with your scene partner, it's going to be way different because you're not going to be sitting down all the time. Sometimes in that audition, maybe you will. Maybe they'll have a chair, maybe you can sit. But there will be auditions out there where casting directors will not have chairs in the room, so you have to be prepared for that, which a lot of actors aren't if they're sitting down all the time. And the casting director may ask you and say, hey, you know what? Get up for the scene. Let's do it standing up. Or you're going to be sitting down and I want you to get up. It's not unnormal for casting directors to give you direction when you're going into that auditioning process. So you have to work on this. My suggestion to you guys is to not just practice it in one way, but change it up a little bit. So don't just practice your character sitting down, because then once you actually go on set and you actually have to move and do different things, you're not going to be malleable if you're just always sitting down. You have to stand up and you have to move. So my suggestion is start playing with your character a little bit more. Play with your character sitting down and doing the scene that way, but then play with the character standing up. Play with the character leaning up against the wall, have the character on the phone, play with the character talking to the other actor. Have it be and imagined in your head that the character is angry that you're speaking to. Now have it be that they're happy. Now have it be that they're sad and they're mad. You're playing with different emotions. This is keeping you malleable. It's keeping you able to work in different scenarios and situations. This is one thing that really hinders an actor. If you're working in one way and you have your character in one way, but something changes now it's hard for you to adapt. If you're already practicing adapting your character and saying, okay, I'm going to do the character sitting down, standing up physically, and then also mentally going back and forth thinking, okay, the character I'm talking to is going to be happy or mad or sad. It plays with the different varying emotions and physicalities that you can do as an actor. So then if the casting director does ask you to stand up and do the scene, you can do it. Or if you're working with the director and the director says something to you that you didn't even consider for the scene, you can still be malleable and you can work because you're used to working with this character in different ways. When you're working and you're developing your character, sometimes you may come into roadblocks. I know when I'm working, sometimes there might be a character or a scene and for whatever reason, I'm just not able to get it. It could be the scene itself, it could be the whole script, it could be something I'm not understanding, but for whatever reason, this character is tricky. One of the tools that I have that I'll use is music. And what I do is I try to find a song that relates and fits this character. If I can find a song and say, okay, this song here completely fits the character, I will then use that song as a tool to help me get into that character. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't matter what song that you use. Some people think, okay, it has to be a specific song. It always has to be this song. You may have 2 songs, 3 songs. That's fine, as long as you find something that works for you. Now, the one thing that I don't want you to do, though, is I don't want you to rely on this song as a complete crutch. And this can sometimes be a mistake that actors fall into, where they think that they have to completely use the song in order to get to the character. I like to use it as a tool, but I also like to separate the song from my work. I don't like to connect the two completely together, but I will use it as a tool, as an initial tool to sometimes get me into that character if I am having some sort of trickiness with it for whatever the reason might be. So what I'll do is this. I'll have the song, I'll pick the song, I'll find the song, I play the song, and then I go and I do my character right afterwards, whether that be the scene or it be the monologue, it doesn't matter. Then I might do it again. I'll play the song, do the scene, do the monologue, do it again, scene, song, monologue. What I'll start to do, though, is I'll start to separate myself from the song. So I'll play the song, then I'll wait 5 minutes, then I'll go do the scene and do the character. Because the song is supposed to be a tool to kind of help me get into character, but it's not something I should be using while I'm doing the scene. Sometimes actors will play the song while they're actually doing the scene, and you can do that, but you want to be very careful to not rely on that. If you're doing that, only do it once or twice, but you're going to find a really big difference when the song stops, because the song adds a little bit of an element to the scene that you're just not going to naturally have, because you can't go into the audition and play a song. It's just not going to work. I do try to separate myself, so I'll have that 5 minutes, then maybe it's 10 minutes, and then I'll start to have it maybe 15 minutes, and then from there I can just play the song and I can get into the character. Or sometimes I'll just be able to hear the song in my head and then get into the character. But again, I try to use it as a complete tool to rely on. Point number 2. So this is something that I actually don't use very much at all, but a lot of actors do use this. Viola Davis being one of these actresses that does. But this point is writing out your whole character's backstory, their beliefs, what they like. Basically, you're writing out everything about your character. Usually people like to do it by hand. They think they learn the best that way about their characters, but you can also type it too. It depends what works for you as the actor. But actors will sometimes write a whole 1-page report on their character. Some actors would go overboard and go and do 10 pages, sometimes even more. If it works for you, though, if you find as an actor this tool works for you, writing out your character's backstory and writing out what your character loves and likes and what your character's future is, then that's fine if it works for you. You can experiment with these tools. Try the music thing out for your next audition. Try writing out your character for your next audition. Try doing both and see if it helps. See what works for you. Maybe you'll find it works, maybe you'll find it doesn't. Maybe for one character it worked great, for another character it didn't. You have to have tools and find which ones work for you. Now, for point number 3, this is something that I do actually use all the time when I'm working and developing my characters. Now, for this point, it doesn't actually really involve anything new with your acting, and it falls down to this. It's costuming. Your costuming, what you wear, not only helps you, because we always think about the character in ourselves for us, you also have to think about the people watching you. When you're doing these different auditions that you're going to be having, casting directors will be looking at you, wondering, do you fit the part? Do you fit the character that they need? Not just can you act the part, but you also look the part. When you're wearing costuming, you're not only helping yourself feel and seem like the character, but you're helping the people watching you also think, hey, you know what, this guy actually could be the character. For example, I had an audition the other day where I had to play this rock star sort of guy. I don't go overboard where it seems like a Halloween costume that I'm wearing, but I do try to wear certain things that make it feel like I'm more of the rocker type. So I'll have rings and I'll have my different necklaces and bracelets and all those different things, and I'll put a little bit of eyeliner on so it helps build that idea of the character I'm auditioning for. Now, again, I don't want to make it a Halloween costume though, and it also has to fit within the world that I'm playing. If I'm trying to play this character and I'm dressing up more as the rocker type, great. But now say the same character, I come in and I come in as sweatpants and I come in like I'm about to go for a run, it's not going to work. The look that I'm bringing forward doesn't match up with the character. So it will help them, as the viewer, look at you better, and your acting will naturally appear better just because you seem like you fit the character more. Also, the way that it helps you is that when you're wearing these costumes, it also starts to make you a little bit, just a little bit, feel a little bit more like the character. Even if it's just by a percent, that percent can sometimes be the percent that you need. So for example, if I have to play a character who's lazy, who's a bum, who doesn't do anything all day long, well then if I wear something, if I picture what a bum would look like, and I wear that type of outfit, it makes me feel a little bit more like the character. It makes my acting a little bit better, and also it makes it better for the people observing me as well. If I have to play someone who's more on the business savvy side, well, I'll have to wear something that makes me feel a little bit more like it. Again, I don't try to go overboard where it's a Halloween costume, but I do try to add certain elements. Maybe it's a shirt, maybe it's a shoe, maybe it's a necklace, a bracelet, maybe it's multiple things. But I do try to use costuming a lot in every single audition that I'm going for, because it does help build that character a little bit more, and it helps the people watching us see us as the character too.
Isn't that guy great? I love watching his videos. So I hope that was really helpful. Make sure you do your review, and I will see you tonight.